Hey, here we go once again. Coming to you live, setting it straight with fam. I got my boys here today. We about to go do it again like we always do. We're going to go ahead and spread the gospel. That's what it is about them Dallas Cowboys. Man, today is the day, and today is the day. We about to hit them Detroit Lions. Oh, man, I just can't wait. We only got a couple of days, a couple of hours, and we're going to go straight up in there. You know what I'm saying? But you know what? We got to talk about them Dolphins, though, man. We haven't talked about them Dolphins, and them Dolphins, man, we should have won that game. We should have won that game. There's so many things that we should have done to get that game. And, it's crazy that, hold on, because I got to do this.
How about them Cowboys?
I'm sorry, we had to get that on out the way. Logistics. But right. But check this out. Does Dolphin games, man? Y'all have to tell me because, is this a telltale sign of what to come? Are we still in the running testing? Are we still in the testing phase? Somebody got to tell me something, man, because this game from Dolphins. Man, I was scratching my head a lot of times in this game, and I'm like, wait, this is no way. And I think, be honest about it, I think we have a team that should have won that game. I mean, there's nothing that I think I don't think they were a better team than us. I don't think none of that. So I'm trying to figure out, what happened because, and you guys tell me this as well. Man, did Dak solidify the MVP from even though we lost, but that boy played his game, and it wasn't because of Dak that we lost that game. So somebody gonna have to tell me about this Dolphins game, man. And is this a telltale sign? Are we in the testing phase or what? Come on, Joshua. Tell me what you got.
So I think there's a lot of things to unpack from that game, right? So I do think defensively, right? There's some misgivings that we can give, but I mean, when you're having speedsters like those wide receivers, I mean, you're gonna have to play. You're gonna have to play off. You cannot play press man coverage, right? And so you're gonna have to have like a bend don't break defense, right? But the only bad thing about this is that when it comes to the game on the line, you don't ever want to have the game on the line with the Miami Dolphins. You don't ever want to have it in the offensive in their hand, right? Because more often than not, especially when you have the type of defense that the Cowboys have, right, it's not going to be good because you're going to be playing off coverage, right? And then they can get you with the dink and dunk, and especially when there's 2 minutes left in the game, they can get you with the dink and dunk. And they're like the Cowboys are going to give you 5, right? Because they don't want you to beat them overhand. So like it's one of those things that you're screwed if you do and you're screwed if you don't. So I mean, defensively it goes like that. Now speaking to the offense. Right, because before I go to the offense, defensively, I think holistically speaking, they played a decent game. Right, they played as well as they could have played. Right now, Jonathan Hankins is there. That would have been a different story. Right, but I mean, 22 points. I mean, I think for a high octane offense, 22 points is locking down to 22 points is pretty decent. Right. And that was only up until the last second, and that's when they scored 3 points. Right, so. Going on to the offense, all right? So, yes, is Tyron Smith a factor in there? Yes and no, right? There's some things where they had a really good defense. They really did. They had a defense that a clog and cover, right? They're pretty much were saying we're not going to have you beat us over. It's pretty much the same game plan that the Dallas Cowboys had defensively. The Miami Dolphins pretty much they're the same they're the same team. They're the Miami Dolphins in NFC, and the Miami Dolphins are the Dallas Cowboys of the AFC, right? So they played this pretty much identical game plans, right? But the difference is they have better wide receivers than the Miami Dolphins, right? So it's a lot harder and that's why I think Dak Prescott's probably the better of the quarterbacks, at least at this point right now. But now, offensive scheme, we're going to get into this really pretty much a little bit more in detail. There was a lot of times where Freaky Mike wasn't as freaky. You know what I mean? So I think that he had conservative game plan where he needed to be a little bit more cavalier, and he's more cavalier when he needed to be conservative, right? For instance, we're going to talk about it. Goal line stand, probably not the best time to start. They did score, but it's probably not the best time to start trying to throw the ball when you're on the 1 yard line, right? And so, I mean, you find plays that get your wide receivers open, right? I mean, CeeDee Lamb was absent the whole entire game. Why weren't they scheming plays for CeeDee Lamb, right? I mean, he was carving them up at least the first quarter, first and a half quarter. So, I mean, that's on the offensive coordinator. That's on Mike McCarthy. He needs to do a better job when it comes to that. So,
Wow.
yeah. And unfortunately, according to your MVP talk, we're going to get into later. Uh, Dak, yes, he should be MVP, should at least be considered, which he is considered for it. But unfortunately, in today's league, they count wins for quarterbacks, and it's good as he played. Even if he doesn't win, they're still gonna still a knock against him.
What you got, Jordy?
Uh, so this game to me, I don't know. I felt conflicted. Like we needed our defense to step up and in a major way in that last drive versus the Dolphins. But at the same time, I understand why, it was the way, ended the way it ended. I mean, it's really hard to defend. I mean, everybody was getting burned by Tyreek Hill. Like that game was just our corners have been phenomenal this whole year. This is one of those games where you circle them like, man, it's gonna be a long day, and Tyreek Hill made it a long day. He could have made it worse on them. It could have been an even longer day, for them to be 20-22 and they kick a field goal to win the game. I will give them credit for keeping the game that close. But it was still like when you needed, and then we had some calls that didn't go our way, but hey, that's part of the NFL. We got to play better so those calls don't affect us, especially late in game like that. Um, but you can see how far we were playing, like 5 yards off. Every time Tyreek Hill caught the ball, there was like 3 to 5 yards of distance of separation between him and the corner. It was just ridiculous. But I did like what I feel like we needed to do too in that game, and maybe they learned after this game, is we needed to be more physical with the receivers. Like anytime a receiver catches the ball, we need to smack him. We need to put foots and hands all over those receivers, and I think that's what we got to do going forward when we face receivers like that. Make them scared to catch anything across the field, open field. But also our safety play has been bad all year. I don't know what our ranking is on our safety play, but I feel like we've got to be at least the bottom 20 with safety play. Safeties are always in the box cheating up. They're nowhere to be found when, when there's a ball going downfield. The safeties are nowhere to be found. So this game could have been, I think, worse than what it was. Um, but we kept everything. We were bend don't break. So, and I was actually impressed with that because when we did get them in short field, short yardage, in red zone territory, we kind of held up as best as we could. Um, and then our offense, yeah, I agree with Josh, that Mike McCarthy is inconsistent with his play calling, especially like the fullback play calling in the first quarter. I was shocked. I was like, "Oh, we're going to fullback. That's cool." And then in the red zone, on the goal line, we go to our fullback, and Dak and him have a bad exchange. Don't know who's responsible for that fumble, but then again, it's just repetition, right? How often do we do that in game this whole season? We have it. Then boom, all of a sudden, we're on goal line and we decide to to run the fullback in there. I would have preferred Donald be put in that situation. I would have preferred Dak just rushing in himself. Or Pollard. Pollard was playing great this game, but hey, stuff like that happens, and we got to grow from it and learn from it. But unfortunately, in these type of games where everything is really tight and we need wins to win the division to clinch and try to clinch home field advantage, We need these type of wins. We need these close game wins. And I was just disappointed in our coaching, and especially in Mike McCarthy's play calling, especially getting away from CD2. He, like Josh said, he got away from CD. CD was carving him up first, second quarter, but then he kind of got away from him. And then when they went back to him, it was already kind of, Dak went back to him in that fourth quarter, led him on a what was to be a game winning drive, but it didn't work out that way. So that's the way the cookie crumbles. Took an L to the Dolphins, which we definitely could have got out of there with a win. It would have been nice to get a road win, but hey, we took that L.
Yeah, it was something. One minute you want to say it's all McCarthy's fault, and next minute you're like, well, the players got to hold on to the ball, and then you say, well, then they change it up, and they wasn't used to that play. They're coming in now. You're about to run something we weren't running. So is it something, should they be more aware? Have they practiced this? You know what I'm saying? I don't know. It was crazy, but based on what I was looking at, all the things you both were talking about the play calling, yeah, I wasn't, pleased, you know what I'm saying? I think we could have done better. They say about a good leader, man, you got to put your players in the best position to win. And I don't believe that was something that he did, even though we overcame a lot of the mistakes that was called. But still, it's sad though, because if this was a playoff game, we would have been going home, right? So
Yep.
this will separate us from the mediocre to the above standards, and we have to alleviate those stupid ones, and we got to play solid, and because we're playing against solid teams. So and right now it's like almost like a 50-50. Any team can go in there and win, right? But it shouldn't be that way, because the talent that we have on our squad, we should always be above that. They're going to have to beat us to beat us. Or, right now we're more or less beating ourselves. We kind of giving them an upper hand because we helping them. And then the game, not this past game, but the game prior was crazy, because now we had the ref seem like it was against us, because then become the stupid calls. But see, we have to we have to play. The Dallas Cowboys
Yeah.
have to play higher, that when the ref don't give us those calls, it doesn't make it that big of an impact. We can't be so close that any call would take us from a win to lose game. We just gotta step up, man. We gotta step up,
Hmm.
and I believe, like,
Definitely.
yeah. And I know we're gonna talk about Dak Prescott being MVP a little later in the segment, a little later segment of the day. But speaking of quarterbacks, now here's the thing you want to jot down, which we all was kind of like, whoa, where'd that come from? When they set Russell Wilson, Russell Wilson. I mean, that's Super Bowler, man. You know what I'm saying? But just all of a sudden, the coach was like, we about to sit this dude, and now they're talking about not only that they're sitting him, but they're talking about going away from him. And what's your thoughts, Jordan? I mean, you think he's but the whole situation, what do you think of Russell Wilson? His play, and do you think what do you think about this call?
Um, well, I think it's messed up. The rest has to deal with what he has to deal with. I think it's this season. I think Russ has played really well. I think he's played. I don't think they played to his strength as much, but I noticed that they had started to play to his strengths more, letting him roll out of pockets. Try to make plays outside the pocket. He's more of an outside of the pocket quarterback. Probably deal with his frame, his height, and whatnot. I know the play calling is drastically better than it was last year. I also know that I think Russ's personality also plays a part in it. Like, he's a spiritual guy. He's very family oriented to himself, and I don't think that plays well, in a macho rah rah type of atmosphere. So he gets labeled as corny and whatnot. And I think, he's a really stand up guy from just outside looking in, from the media, from just looking at how the media tries to portray him, or how they portrayed him the last couple years, and everyone talking about him and whatnot. But to me, I think Russ has been solid. I mean, his stats are comparable to Patrick Mahomes, and he has like, I think, like six to eight less interceptions than Pat Mahomes this season. So the fact that he's getting benched is like, dang, that's crazy. And I think this more so opens up like because Russ came on and he talked to the media about that they wanted him to take a pay cut, and then if they didn't take a pay cut, he would get benched. Um, but they wanted him to take a pay cut in like week 8 or something like that, which I thought was crazy. Like when I heard that, I thought that was crazy. I was like, dang, it just opens your eyes and kind of confirms to the fans, especially Denver fans, that hey, you guys weren't all in on Russ the second season, and you guys aren't all in on winning and trying to get to the Super Bowl. And so it's like when your franchise is like that, is being run uh, poorly, it's like what is the goal? Is the goal to sell tickets, or is the goal to win Super Bowls? Is the goal like what is the goal? And I kind of felt bad for Denver fans, bad for Russ for being in the situation. And we've talked all season, and well, we haven't talked all season, but we briefly talked offline about the Denver Broncos having bad, their receivers being bad, and that O line not being up to par, and then so has the media. So it's like you you pick and choose when you want to blame. I get it. He's the quarterback too, so he has to take a lot of that. But at the end of the day, like, hey, if Russ goes to any other team, I think they're playoff to Super Bowl bound team. Uh, it's unfortunate that it didn't work, but I think the takeaway for me, as a person who loves watching football, and I'm more on the player side than most. But I'm always gonna root for my Cowboys and be for the brand of the Cowboys. But it's just an eye opener to see how these organizations think. To see like you have this caliber guy and you want him to take a pay cut at week 8, or you're gonna bench him, and so now you bench him after you guys came really close to bouncing back and getting into a Super Bowl. It's not Russell Wilson's fault that y'all got 70 dropped on y'all head top. Like that's on coach. Like that's on everybody as a team. And it also shows the kind of direction to me that the team would take. Like how does the team operate with dysfunction in the front office, not knowing what they want to do? Like how do you get your team to play? Like we were talking about the effort. I forgot what team we were talking about effort, and it looked like they just packed it in. I think it was the Commanders. They just packed it in. That might be the Denver Broncos. They might just pack it in because they know, hey, our front office is playing funny games, and so that's what I took. I was like, hey, that's crazy because I kind of feel like our front office plays those games too a little bit. So it kind of confirmed some things for me.
Okay, well, I tell you what, Joshua. Before you give your part of it, your take on it, I do have a question for you about this same situation. Is this? Um, Knowing that how Russ would start playing and things start being turned around, in the beginning it seemed like they didn't have an identity. It didn't seem like they didn't know what they was doing. Then the whole game seemed like they start switching around. They start getting the feel of it. They start playing like putting Russ in the best position to play. And he was putting up numbers. He was making good choices, whatever the case is. And then they had one game that was crazy. Then they benched him in a sense, and I could be having something that flop. But do you believe, based on the money and that it was going under, do you believe that they're benching him and to say a reason to get rid of him because he was playing? So is this a front office thing, or is it really a coach's thing and the Russell thing?
I mean, you have to follow the money, right? So I mean, I just don't think. I think that they're just not bought in 100% on Russell Wilson, right? I mean, they wouldn't be benching him if it wasn't the case, right? They're trying to save face or whatever like that. I don't think he lost I don't think he lost his teammates. I really don't. I really don't think that's the case. I mean, when you have 26 touchdowns and 8 interceptions, and you're getting benched, and a person that's former MVP has the same amount of touchdowns, passing touchdowns, and
More
more
interceptions.
interceptions than and he's starting, right? I get the situation is different, right? But you have to also consider the fact that you're having a new coordinator in there. You have Sean Payton, right? Sean Payton is not like this 100. Maybe he is. Maybe he's like this 100% guru, and once they get the right player, they're going to be number one offense, right? But I mean, I think that they're trying to be like, I think Sean Payton went from Drew Brees to Russell Wilson, right? And he's clearly, I think he's using Drew Brees as a benchmark. You shouldn't use Drew Brees as a benchmark, right? That's
Yeah,
a potential
totally different
Hall of Fame
style
player,
quarterbacks.
right? You have to like give it some time, right? And it sends a bad message to the players too. I mean, there's rumors now that the front office is afraid now that they're gonna have to overplay some players based on what they did to Russell Wilson, right? So this is a chain effect, right? I
Yeah,
mean, obviously he's doing better, right? He's doing better with what he has, right? You have a wide receiver that's not 100% bought in, not to his quarterback. He's not bought into the culture, right? So he's doing what he can't. The quarterbacks are going to make mistakes, right? So I don't understand um, what their reasoning is to answer your question for that. Maybe it's I don't know. I have no idea what's going on there, and but the Broncos have been notorious for going through quarterbacks,
Yeah,
you
it's
know.
crazy, right? Yeah, it's
So
crazy. It's crazy because
God forbid that he comes to like the Giants or
oh
the
man.
yeah, that'll be crazy.
Washington Commanders.
Yeah, that'd be crazy. They'd be
Nah.
looking for him though. That'd be crazy. I wouldn't want to see that. But it's you're right though. I mean, there are starting quarterbacks right now who does not have his stats right now. They're starting and they bench him,
Yeah,
for that. But
yeah,
let's stay with the quarterbacks and I know we talked about this offline before we started. We were talking about now we have another professional quarterback speaking, and I think one of us believe that he got a bad rap from speaking out about amongst his peers. But we were talking about Cam Newton, that he was questioning was he right about how he thought of Dak Prescott and how he thought about being this a system
Brock Purdy.
quarterback. So Jordan. Go ahead and give me what you think about that, man. But was Cam right? I mean, what I'm saying? He said it. Was he right?
I think Cam is slightly right. I think Cam was slightly right about Brock Purdy, about what's my boy in the Lions? What's the Lions quarterback?
Jared Goff.
Jared Goff.
Oh, before you go
Uh,
there, tell us what he said about those because I forgot to say that.
Jared Goff, Brock Purdy, and Dak Prescott. He was talking about game changers versus game managers. He was saying that quarterbacks that are game changers are like him, Lamar Jackson. When you need a big play, to go down and put the team on your back and make a big play, and make and basically win the game, be clutch, be like Tom Brady. He's saying those guys are not necessarily the guys that can do it for you. He's saying they're game managers where the pieces around them make them look better than what they actually are in a sense. Not um, kind of reiterating what he said. So that's kind of his take on it. But Dak Prescott's got his name thrown in there, and I think that gets a bad rep too because I think he Dak is to me is not a game manager. But I don't think Dak necessarily is a game changer. He does make great game changing plays at times, but overall, I don't know. It's really hard because I think Cam Newton is right. Like there's just that gene in certain quarterbacks where game on the line, 2 minutes left. Tom Brady, 1 minute left. Patrick Mahomes, 1 minute left. That's not enough time. They're gonna go down there and score again. And I understand that, but not every quarterback is like that. Every quarterback has their own nuances of what they can do, to win those games. Because there are still quarterbacks that can do that, go down and win. I'd like Dak did that versus Dolphins. It just didn't. His defense didn't hold up to the other end of the bargain. Um, but I agree with him on Brock Purdy. I think Brock Purdy, everyone's on the Brock Purdy hype train, calling him MVP, but it's only his second year in the league, and he has great Hall of Fame talent all throughout that offense. It's just like, hey, he's got this brand new car, his brand new Ferrari. You just don't wreck it, right? In that game versus Ravens, he kind of wrecked it. Uh, Same with Jared Goff. I think Jared Goff is a smart veteran, but you like even if he is a system quarterback or a game manager, that's fine. Like there's lots of guys that can't game manage. I think the number one job for a quarterback is to be able to manage the game. Like if you can control the game, then to me that's a great compliment. You can control the game, then that means you're able to dictate, you know, how the game's gonna happen. Like, hey, I can control the game by passing, throwing it, telling, going in and out of plays, directing guys. I just got to make sure that I minimize my mistakes and play mistake-free football, and we're gonna win this game. Jared Goff has the top-ranking offense. I think he's fifth. We talked offline. Say like he has the fifth best passing game. Like the Jared Goff still has to throw the football. Like you can't escape when the lights are on you. You still got to perform, and Jared Goff has been performing. Like, hey, and I understand too the backlash that Cam Newton got. I think he still is an MVP, so he still knows what he's talking about. But at the same time too, like guys like analyzing the game and putting themselves like I would have did this different, I would have did that different. I think Cam Newton would still be a starter in this league if he did have that more game manager type of role that but he's too much of a playmaker, so he often makes too many mistakes as well.
All right, I feel you, Joshua. What do you think about that?
Um, I don't know. I'm kind of with them, even with like Dak Prescott, because he was saying like game manager. He said that Tom Brady and Peyton Manning were game managers, right? They were elite game managers, right? So I mean, hey, if they were game managers, I mean that's good company to be in. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And so I think what he meant by like the game changers is like those players were extra pizzazz. They bring like a specialty card to their game game plan, right? So for instance, like your Michael Vicks, your Josh Allen's, your what do
Your
you
gun,
call
your
it? Your
your
Pat
gun, your
Mahomes.
gunslingers.
Yeah, it's not even gunslingers, right? Because uh Dak can throw it down the field a lot of times, right? It's just like they're gonna wow you with like these amazing, like accurate balls or whatever have you, right? And Tom Brady, he did like I mean he played enough games in the NFL where like you can catch some things, right? But he was definitely methodical. He was all about timing. Brock Purdy, methodical, all about timing. Dak Prescott's now getting to the point where he's like, oh, this game is a lot easier if it gets into timing and everything like that. Oh, and I know how to like uh extend plays and stuff like that. So like yeah. So if that's the case, I mean he's still I still consider Dak Prescott among the top five quarterbacks. I mean generally speaking, if everybody can would have to concede that Dak Prescott is among top five in the league. Some would consider him top three, some consider him the best, right? Of how he's playing. I mean, he's definitely playing, passing the most in the touchdown, passing the most touchdowns in the league with the least amount of interceptions, whatever like that. But I mean, and it's also a cerebral game to him now. So, I mean, I understand what he's saying, but I think he's kind of talking on both ends of his mouth. I don't, I get what he's saying, but at the same time, I don't know if he gets what he's saying, right?
yeah,
I don't think that he understands what he means by game changers and stuff like that. It's just players with extra like pizzazz, like I even forgot Lamar Jackson, right?
yeah,
So so it's just one of those things that like they have these certain specialties, right? Lamar Jackson, he can throw the football, but he specializes in like escapability and running the
That boy's
football.
lucid,
Pat Mahomes is just a freak of nature,
lucid.
right? He can get balls into like the tightest of spots consistently, right? Because Dak Prescott can do it too, but he can't do it as consistently as Pat Mahomes can do, right? Or your Aaron Rodgers, right? So those are the only people that I can think of like right now that can be like, all right, these guys are like game changers that are better than
yeah,
like Dak Prescott or whatever like that. If whatever have you, right? They have
yeah.
more talent. But overall game, like when it comes to cerebral and stuff like that, if he wants to be a game manager, cool. But he's among the best when it comes to game management. So I mean, I
Okay.
get what he's saying. So I
Uh,
I
don't really
think
have
too.
too much of a
I
problem with that.
think I think as well. I think we need to start understanding that every player is not going to be like the next player. I think all players have a categories that they can fit in. Like you have your gunslingers, you have your game managers who are like your act. To me, game managers like your accurate quarterbacks who are going to minimize minimize fumbles and picks. They're gonna put it in tight
Drew Brees.
windows. That, yeah, Drew Brees type guys. Drew Brees was super accurate. So and then you have like your game generals, which I would put like Peyton Manning and Tom Brady in there, where they're not gonna throw deep balls all the time. They're gonna nickel and dime you a step up of what a game manager does because they're clutch. They're gonna, who if they have the ball, they're gonna do whatever they need to do to get the ball down the field. And then you have like your arm wizardry, where you have your Pat Mahomes and you have your Matthew Staffords and you have your Aaron Rodgers, where they just do stuff with the football. You're like, dang, what in the world was that?
Right.
And then
Yeah.
like you have your scramblers, your out of the pocket guys, and there's variations. Like you have your Michael Vicks, you have your Ben Roethlisbergers, you have your dude with the Bills. Why can't I think
Josh
of his name?
Allen.
Josh Allen.
Josh Allen. You have your big body physical guys who can still sling it down the field, but they love to be able to get out of the pocket, escape, scramble, throw from out. Make Jalen Hurts does it too. Make all their plays out of the pocket. Russell Wilson. So I think once you understand what that quarterback does and then put the team around him, I think your offense is better and makes them better and makes them noteworthy and makes them a Hall of Famer. And I think that's what a lot of these coaches don't do. And I think a lot of times too, like you put these expectations on them, right? Like, oh, Lamar Jackson has to be like Michael Vick because they see that archetype, and so then they place him in that thing. But like, hey, these other players can also learn skills from these other skill trees that these other players have. Like, oh, being a great pocket quarterback, add that to my repertoire. But my main thing is this, but I still can have the ability to do this. So that's why I think as well that I think we get lost in the sauce of just comparing quarterbacks to quarterbacks, even though it's kind of unfair. But at the end of the day, that's what you get paid to throw the football, right? So
Right. Right. Yeah, that's what you do. But okay, this what I want you to do. Either one of you guys, I want y'all to look at this because for some reason I just see Dak Prescott being high on this. But if you guys can research real quick, the most game-winning drive, um, game-winning drives. Who has the best game-winning drives? But in the quarterback, see what Dak Prescott, where he sits amongst those game-winning drives. So however you look for it, how you look that up, go look that up and let me know. Because for some reason I believe back in the day, maybe not recently, but back in the day, I just believed that in my head, I believe Dak Prescott was one of the ones who stood high on game-winning drives. He came back and the boy, it's crazy, and we're going to talk about now. We're going to go and switch over to Dak Prescott being that guy, being like you're saying, game manager, whatever the case is. I mean, sometimes, man, he seemed like he have ice in his blood, but then again, sometimes, I'm like, what in the world? He gets the job done, man. I mean, I think he plays, and I know we were talking about earlier about today's game going to have those jackets there today, so it's going to be a lot of pressure on them boys. I think Dak going to show up and play like he been playing. I haven't seen Dak, because he always been under that pressure, especially when Tony Romo was, looking over his shoulder and everybody was questioning why they don't bring Tony Romo back. I mean, and Dallas Cowboy fans, everybody was that was a lot of pressure, man, for him to have to stay up there, and he was playing his best game during that time. So I don't think Dak Prescott will go up there and do anything different. I think Dak Prescott is a true MVP candidate. I mean, I do. I look at Brock Purdy. I look at all of the other. I know you guys are talking about bringing other position to get that title. But as far as quarterbacks, because I can't be mad at MCM, right? McCaffrey, that boy, he just bad, right?
yeah,
But as far as quarterbacks, man, I mean,
got
you're
your
gonna have to
stat for
prove.
you
You got
too,
to
though.
prove. You got to
Did you
prove
do all
to me.
time?
You had to prove to me.
No, I didn't do all time. I did from when Dak entered the league. So what was that, like 2016 to 2023?
Yeah.
And so still at number one. Can you guess? Still at number one. I said still, so that kind of let you know.
Aaron Rodgers or Tom
No.
Brady?
Tom Brady still at number one at 79. game-winning drives from 2016 to
That
2023.
voice is
Um,
good.
Patrick Mahomes is number two at 73, and your boy Dak Rain Dakota Prescott is number three at 71.
Wow.
Uh,
See, I see.
and then Russell Wilson at 69, Aaron Rodgers at 68.
So when you're talking about somebody rely on, like if you need somebody to win the game, then you need a quarterback
Yeah,
to step in and win the game. That's Dak Prescott. It's only one person higher than Dak Prescott still in the game today. That's what you just told me. There's only one person that is higher of being that guy that put the ball in his hands. And we look at all these games. Sometimes I get pushed under the rug because you don't think that. But he still reigns supreme, man. That boy's still up there, getting winning drives, right? Dak Prescott, number two, basically of the people who's still in the league, number two right now under Kansas City.
Patrick
So
Mahomes.
Patrick Mahomes. So
Patrick Mahomes, yeah.
that kind of rests my case when I was talking about when I was talking about when you guys talking about Cam Newton and what he was saying. He's not the game changer. He's not a guy who can make it happen. Whatever the case is, that's what I got from what he was saying. So I'm like, I think you misspeaking when you're talking about my boy Dak. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what I'm calling him my boy today. He's do something stupid. I'm casting him in. But right now, that's my boy. And you can't. The loyalty is not that great here when you do something stupid. But you know what though? McCarthy, he's never been my boy. So just to let you know. but yeah, we get mad at Dak. We do. But I mean, he gets the job done, man. And that's why I say that boy, he balls, and people put a lot of pressure on him. He only won 2 playoff, championship in his tenure.
He can't get out of the second round.
Tenure, yeah. But it's not always him though. That's what's crazy. Because he's a quarterback, he's a leader. He's gonna take that fall. He's gonna take that L. He's gonna take that whatever the case is. But it's crazy. It's crazy. Go ahead.
I had nothing else that you put the needle. Cherry on
I
top.
just think, yeah.
It's especially with that stat. That's a great stat. Cam Newton was nowhere near that list as well.
Right. You know what I'm
But,
saying? But that's the guy speaking, right?
He
But
was very fun. Like I guess game changers are the quarterbacks that are fun to watch, I guess. But when it comes down to the brass things, like I think in my mind, I think the game changers are your Drew Breeses, your Tom Brady's, your Peyton Manning, your Aaron Rodgers, Pat Mahomes, right? I think those guys are like your game changers. Like they're just so high off the end, and then there's everybody else. They're gonna be, those are like Hall of Famers. Hall of Famers are game changers, right? That's who I think. And
yeah,
it's sorry Cam Newton. I mean, I'm pretty sure other people will disagree with me, but I don't know if he's gonna be considered in the Hall of Fame. But so I don't know. And so like he did like for during the time that they were playing, right? I think he was
in
a
his heyday.
difference maker.
Yeah, in his
He
heyday.
was, because he was ahead of his time.
Yeah,
right?
Cam
I
Newton
will
was
also
balling.
too say that they didn't put the greatest of offenses around Cam.
Cam was
they didn't
good.
give him they didn't do all they could to make sure that Cam was lifted, right? He didn't have the best receivers. He didn't have the best O line. He didn't have the best running back. It was kind of like, hey, we're getting these little pieces here and there, and Cam, you just go do something with it. And so I think, especially too, I think that's another thing, like the front office, like what could have been if you guys would have went out and grabbed somebody, like how Joe Flacco did and the Ravens did, when they went and got Antoine Bolden and they went and got all these fast and receivers. What if you would have put a stout receiving core around Cam? What if you he did have those dog running backs. I forgot the Williams and another one. He did have them for a while, but they were at the tail end of their career. He did have MCM for a little bit too. And that was at the tail end of his career. But still, they didn't put it all together. So yeah, it would have been nice to see. But maybe it would have been up higher up on these lists of comeback wins and all that other stuff. But hey,
Right. Yeah. I
Yeah,
mean,
so like I see what he's saying. I mean, and I consider him a pretty decent quarterback. I mean, he was ahead of his time. So like I understand his logic behind it, but there's just some parts of it I just don't agree with. But he can say whatever he wants to say on. I mean, he's earned that right. He's been in the NFL. If you've been in the NFL, you can say whatever you want. You can say somebody sucks. You know.
yeah. I mean, you
Yeah.
heard. Look,
he played
look,
at the highest level. He
look.
was the most valuable player in the league.
Look. You earned the right to say whatever you want to say. Now, whatever you say don't necessarily have to be true, but you do
Yes.
earn the right to say it.
Yes.
We do have to listen. Now, it might be wrong.
Yes.
But we do have to listen because you put in the work into
Just like nobody's actually really have talked about this, I think, either. But Wes Welker also said, another guy who played in the league, Hall of Fame. I think he's a Hall of Famer. And your Super Bowl winner. He said that Tyreek Hill was a better receiver than your boy Randy Moss. That's another guy.
What? That boy
He was in the league.
I
He
mean,
played with the
that's
guy.
for another
Yeah,
podcast. I
again,
would like
That's
to-
another podcast, yeah. Well, I'm just
that's another
saying
podcast. Let's
that kind
I
of
would like
coincide
to-
with
I would like
you
to-
played in the league, but we might not necessarily agree with what you said.
right.
I
Exactly.
think I might agree. I think I might agree with Wes Welker. I think I might.
What?
I don't know.
Nah, man. Nah. I'm sorry. That's gonna be another segment we're gonna talk about because I'm not agreeing with that. Moss? Nah, man. Nah.
Moss is iconic, but
No.
Tyreek Hill?
We're
Moss is
not gonna
iconic,
talk about that now, but no.
He is. But Tyreek Hill is. I'm not saying he's on another level than Randy Moss, but
Well, yeah,
he's
we'll
on
say that
another
for
level.
another one because
Yeah.
it's gonna
Not
be a
for
good one
Randy
too.
Moss,
Because
he's on another
I'm
level
taking
in general.
Tyreek Hill.
Really? Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
Okay. I mean, you know what I'm saying? All
That's a
right.
good- I mean,
I can't wait to this segment.
It warrants enough for people to hold. Like, they're played good enough for me to hear their statements. You know what I mean? So like,
Right,
you
exactly.
can't really poo-poo the fact like, all right, it's like me saying like, oh, Baker Mayfield's better than Tom Brady. People are just gonna like, just stop hearing me. They're gonna shut off their ears. But if you say Tyreek Hill and Randy Moss, they're gonna be like, all right,
Coming
I'm kind of
from
mad that you
Wes
said it, but
Welker,
like
one
I
of
want
the
to hear your point.
Greatest slot receivers ever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, because don't get me wrong, they're both
Especially
as
because
crazy,
he's his-
but
Yeah, especially
nah.
I think for Wes Welker, I think the other thing that made it kind of like, oh, really? Because he's the wide receiver coach for the Dolphins, and he played with Randy Moss, so he's seen both of them and what they can do on the field.
But
so
you know
it's
what?
interesting that he said it, and then
I mean,
in my mind,
right.
I was like, oh no,
Right,
I think
look.
I might.
Look, he have the right again to say
Yeah.
because he right he got that card right. I'm able to say this. I can say this now, and whether I
Yeah.
believe it or not. That's because man, Moss and when you hear from I want to hear from NFL defensive players who played against both of them. That's what I want to hear because it's different being on the offensive side making your judgment, but when you got to play against them cats and you got to be right in front of them. It's a whole different ball game, man. It's a whole different ball. It's a whole different ball game. But that's what I would like to hear from the great. I would love to hear.
You got mossed. We coined the phrase "you got mossed," but
Right, exactly. I would like to hear something. Even though I know Dion is not in the game doing this kind of analyst anymore, but I would love to hear from somebody who's an all-time defensive.
had to hear what
Gold.
Dale Revis might have to say.
Yeah, and I would have to. Yeah, those guys who had to be there and defend these cats. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But
it kind of stinks because I don't think there's any defensive guy. There's defensive guys that'll be able to talk about it, but I don't know if there's any defensive guys because
that been in
Tyreek
both
came-
sides, both played against both of them.
That played long enough to go against like a prime. Daryl Revis would be close because I don't know. I think Tyreek Hill was in the league, but that was towards Daryl Revis. I gotta look at the tape but he might be the closest because to that. But yeah, it would be interesting. But I can see it's like pick your poison, like really.
Yeah. I mean, because Moss wasn't slow. He may not be as
No,
fast.
he wasn't.
That bull
But
was
he didn't
not
run
slow.
the whole route tree either.
Right? Well, it's another topic for another day. That's gonna be a good one. That's gonna be a good one. But let's go ahead and move on to this Detroit team, and because you said it earlier, and we were talking about Dak Prescott and what he's gonna play because Detroit has a number 15 overall defense. They're number 4 against the run, and so Jordan, I'm going to you first because I know I'm gonna stay away from Joshua from right now and talking about his McCarthy and his run defense. I'm gonna go to you, Jordan. So number 4 run defense. Number 15 overall, Pollard. Woodle. I mean, what we gonna do? Can we run? Can we run against this team? Are we gonna be in the same situation we have been? What you think?
We can't. We are not going to be able to run on this team. Not only is this team a good run team, but guess what? In order to be, a good run defensive team, the Lions team is. They're number 4. In order to be a good offensive run team, guess what you have to do? You have to actually run the ball. And what do we don't do? We don't run the ball. So how can we be? To me, don't even answer the question because what's the point? We don't run. A guy got fired last year because guess what? He didn't run enough.
Yeah, he got fired last year for not running. I guess somebody else gonna get fired because they ain't running it. we still ain't running.
Which kills me because I could say without even knowing the facts, I could say we at least had 10 games where we had running backs over 100 yards. I may not be right, but I'm pretty sure we had at least 10 games last year where running backs went over 100 yards. This year, we literally only have, I think, one game where a running back Pollard went over 100 yards. One game.
Wow.
It's crazy to me.
Wow.
Like the fall off of our run game, and especially our above average offensive coordinator wanted to emphasize, being able to run the ball this year, and how we're looking, running the ball. So our run game, I don't think is going to be there. I think Pollard is running really good. When I see him, he looks like he's going through holes. He's finishing runs
when he get the ball.
Yeah, when he gets the ball. I mean, he got 12 carries last week, but it's gonna be on Dak and it's gonna be on CD Lamb. Hopefully CD Lamb. Last game he had 10 targets, 7 catches for 118 yards or something like that. They need to, if they're gonna look. I like the run game, but hey, don't tell me you're gonna run the ball and don't run the ball. If you want to be a pass offense, just tell me you want to be a pass offense. Just tell me that, and I'll go like, hey, we're a pass offense. So guess what? We're gonna have to put this team on Dak's back and CD's back and go out here. And we thought last game was gonna be like a 30 game, a 30, around the scoring. This game, I feel like it's supposed to be around 30 to 40 points because that's we put up points and Lions put up points. But looking at last game, it was close. It was 20 to 22. So I think it's going to be close like that too. So I don't know what we're going to get out of this game. We don't have to deal with a Tyreek Hill type receiver. So yeah, I don't know, Josh. What you think? I don't know.
All right, so we're just specifically talking about the run game, right?
Yeah.
No, I just brought up the run game.
I said, but they have a number 4 defense. And are we going to be able to run against them? I mean, what we plan on doing?
I don't think it's going to be as effective as we want it to be. I think there's going to be some times you'll be like, oh man, why can't we just run the ball or whatever like that? But I do think that they're going to run the ball.
I don't think they're going to.
They're not going to be like completely shut down, but I think that they're going to run the ball. I think Tony Pollard is going to get a touchdown. I really do. I think he's going to get a touchdown.
Also remember, Josh, they have the 23rd ranked passing defense. The 23rd ranked passing defense. Also remember
and this
that.
is the reason why.
Remember your pass happy coordinator.
And this is the reason why I think that, because I mean they're just like the Cowboys. I'd like to find similarities. Their best run defense is their offense, right? And they score late. They score early a lot. And so what happens, right? The teams have no other choice but to throw the ball, right? To catch up, right? So I do think that, and that's why you get those games. You get those games where, and that's where they get kind of exposed or whatever like that. Because so my thing is, I think that they will be not as successful as they want to be. I still think that it's going to be effective, but not like where it's going to be like a balanced team. I think it's going to be more passing than But you want them to win the game, run the ball, and I think they're going to run the ball semi decently. But it's not going to be like, man, we're just taking gashes out of them. But you might see like some 3-yard gains here, 4-yard gains there, right? It's not going to be like 10, 7, 17-yard,
So
rushing.
Look,
so
we
against
probably gonna have a
Detroit.
total. We probably gonna have a total of 20 carries across all from Dak to all the running backs. Probably 15 total carries.
That's it.
Uh, That's it. That's it. If
Uh,
that.
And about
Look,
about
if that,
50 about
if you can
57
bet on
pass
that
yards.
over and under how many rushing attempts we're gonna have, I'm gonna say 15, and that's including the quarterback.
15. Now wait a minute. You said that's including the quarterback. You talking about design quarterback run or just Dak
No,
running?
just him running in general. Not
15
no design,
yards?
him running. No, 15 running attempts. Not
Okay.
yards, attempts.
Okay.
How many
Well,
times will the Dallas Cowboys run the ball this game?
15
times. 5 of those will be unscripted.
Wow. Okay. All right. Now, I'm the game come on in about 20 minutes. 20 30 minutes. So I'm this is something we're going to do. You guys want to get back together? Well, I can't because I had to come back. I was about to say we want to get back together soon after the game, but we could do it tomorrow sometime. But yeah, that's going to be very interesting, man. I want to see if McCarthy, the run guy, is going to run the ball like he said he's going to run. Now, they are wait a minute, are they a third run offense though? What can we do to their offense?
Yeah, they got the third rushing offense, which is crazy. And I think we're like 15th or something like that in run defense for our defense. And especially if Hankins doesn't play this game, it's gonna be a long day. It's
Really?
gonna be a long day. It's gonna be a whole lot of linebackers getting exposed. It's gonna be a whole lot of up the middle. So we'll see. Even though Morissette was having a great first half, they kind of got away from the run and kind of honed it in because we started scoring too. See, that's the thing. If we can get the lead first, we change the whole outcome of the game, how the game is played. But we got to come out and get the lead first and kind of, get that battery in our defensive backs. But again, we're not dealing with speed the way we dealt with speed last game. So I think this game will be different. But hey, I don't know, man.
Okay, Joshua, question for you.
Answer for you.
They are the number 3 run. They have the number 3 run defense. Okay. Our number 1 player on our defense is Micah Parsons. So again, they're the number 3 run defense. Our strength in Micah Parsons is rushing the quarterback. Now, where are you putting him in this particular game? Would you put him on the line, off the ball? Because we're about to go in the same situation again. How would you handle this? And do you think Quinn is going to do it? Go ahead. Talk to me about this.
Yes. To answer your questions, yes. Right? To do the exact same thing that they did. I'm going to tell you something. I have to eat crow here because I was on record of saying that Micah Parsons was not good at the run stoppage, right? And he did pretty decent last game. I will say that. He did pretty decent last game.
He was getting back there.
Yeah. And so
But look, hold on, Josh. Let me tell you this. Let me ask you this though. But this today, the right tackle is the best right tackle in the league.
And he normally play on the left side. And we're in front of the right tackle. Yeah, he normally play in front of the right tackle.
How you say it? Swahili? Swahili?
I can't, man.
I'm sorry for your name. But much respect to 58 right tackle for Detroit Lions. You a beast, dog. You a beast.
Yeah, no, he's always been a beast since I remember it's draft. I wanted him for the Cowboys.
You wanted us to draft him. I remember that.
Yes. So, but neither here nor there. I just say you got to play him all over the place, right? You're gonna have to. You're gonna have to play him in the. But I don't. If you're gonna play him in the middle, play him off the ball. Do not have him. Do not have him go through all that trash. If he's gonna play in the middle, let him be playing. He's been okay at the mic, so hey, try it again. I would try it again.
So Jordan, you saying not playing him? Are you going against what Joshua's saying right now?
I think he's going.
I'm saying don't line him up against that left tackle. That's all.
And you mean that right tackle? You mean
that right tackle? Yeah, that right tackle. Don't line him up against that right tackle. That's all I'm saying. I think this is one of the best O lines. I think they've got the best O line in the league. I know we've probably been saying that because we've been facing a whole lot of good O lines. We said the Eagles, the 49ers, and now the Lions. They have the best O lines in the league. This one to me has to be the best O line to me.
It's funny that like you said earlier. Yeah, you said this earlier today that we seem to be playing all of the best O lines, best run, best. Their schedule might be different, but I mean their win factor might be might be different. But we're playing against the higher, beefier run game,
playoff ready, bound,
the offensive lines, all of that is a stout. So but you don't think that Mika can beat that right tackle? You just want to just get him away from him? You think he can isolate neutral Mika?
He might be able to get one or two, good ones in there, but
he's not gonna control it.
No, I see what Jordan's saying. He's like, I think, correct me if I'm wrong,
daunting
Jordan.
task.
I think
he's
daunting
task.
Put him in spots where he's more effective.
Exactly.
Put him where he's more effective at, right?
Yeah.
Put him in spots where this is your difference maker. Make him so where he's more
up against the center. Up against the center.
And Detroit, if I'm Detroit Lions and I'm going to run, I got the best right tackle. I'm going to run the ball at Mika with my best right tackle. So don't put him on. I'm just saying, move him around. Put him there once in a while. Putting him around once in a while, to give him a different look. Have to worry about his speed, coming off the line. But I wouldn't just sit him there all game like we've done some other games where we were just looking at like why you got Mika up against this beast of an old lineman, So
right.
This is one of those games where this is a beast of an old lineman. He going up against an oak tree.
Okay.
So it's gonna be one of those. It's gonna be a good matchup. But I'm thinking I'm gonna lean towards the guy who's 350 something, 6'7".
Okay. All right. Well, look, man. We
didn't give our predictions.
Oh yeah. Okay. All right. What you got? What you got, Joshua?
I think Dallas Cowboys get another 40 burger this game. I think they're gonna mollywop the Lions. To be honest with you, I think it's gonna be like a 40 to 50. 40 between 40 to 50.
Not mollywop.
No, 40 to 50 points.
I mean, they put 40 points. I don't think that's a mollywop.
Putting up 50 is that's.
It was a shootout when we put up 50.
But that's if they don't shoot. If they only get like 10 to 50, that's a mollywop.
I think the Cowboys defense, I think they're gonna have their number this game. So I think it's gonna be like 40 to like 23, 42 to 23.
Okay, Josh. Okay, Jordan, what you got?
I got 28-33.
Who?
Dallas.
What is it again?
28-33.
28-33. So 33 to 28. So we giving up 28 points and we're gonna score 33.
Yes.
So squeaking by with the win.
Squeaking by with the win.
Yeah, it's gonna be just like the Dolphins game.
I'm going to say that Dan Quinn going to figure out this run issue, and he's coming with it today. Because obviously he had to have been testing something because he was getting the last few games he was getting completely wrong. So I believe this time he's going to get it right. And this time I believe the way they're going to line up things and we just going to come with in Detroit and they can't stop us. So
I hope so.
So I'm saying 42-17 Dallas.
42-17. Oh, y'all.
42-17 Dallas.
42-17.
42-17. Show out.
Talk about laying an egg.
It-
I don't think that. I hope so, but
Hey, 42-17, and the golden
don't
vest,
know about
golden
that one.
jacket's going to be proud when they give that thing to put that ring of honor today. We're
Jimmy
going to do it.
Johnson, baby. Jimmy Johnson.
That's right. So we're going to do it. So check this out. If you guys are new to us today, and I'm going to have to start it. Well, we are new to us today. I want you to go ahead and reach down, and I want you to go and hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, give it to us like we know, like we always do. We're going to make it happen today. We're going to do it right. We're going to get it done. And because in the next 5 minutes, well, the next 10 minutes, this game about to start. And boy, we're going to put on a show. 42-17. You better hear it because you're hearing it right from Setting It Straight with Fam. Hey! So let's do this thing.